Aí. Hey everybody, I'm theoretically going here. I had a bit of a challenge. As usual, little things going wrong. I am hearing myself though. There we go. Okay, well cool. So I was airbrushing. I tried my new airbrush, it's right here. It's not clean. I'm gonna actually clean it on the stream, but it's the, I shouldn't have bought, I mean, I bought it, it's cool. I always have to check stuff out, but I'm not certain it's the airbrush. I mean, I really only just primed. I tried to do some highlighting the other day and had some issues, and that could have been pilot error, almost assuredly. I mean, I was using the compressor that I have talked about and but I got to tell you, that compressor is not, you can't drop it. Like, and you know, not surprising, but it is now just progressively getting louder and not shutting off. This was fun. I mean, I had it for 2 years, I think. And boy, it's really high. I changed the camera. It's a little higher. I don't know why. I can do it. Okay, let's cut to the table. So, actually I'm in the wrong thing. And here we go. So I like it. I really like it. I like the idea, but it literally landed on its side and just the stuff started coming apart. Now this part down here, no big deal, right? I was able to glue it. You can see a little bit of crazing there. But up above, which I didn't even notice there was a problem, it just, there's some sort of a gap or something. It doesn't seem, once it stops pumping, because it's always on when you're using it, but it was like where I was not using it and it was still going. But once you let go, no leaking as long as it had stopped. And I found that if I pressed this all together, it didn't leak. So it's $70 now for this with the little airbrush, and I do not want, I can potentially buy just the compressor for like $30 plus probably some shipping, I don't know, from AliExpress. I've never bought anything from them. I've thought about it, like there was some, you know, like neon replacement kind of electroluminescent strips that I thought about for a little while for something, and I just like, you know, I don't really want to deal with that. And it's not that big of a deal as far as I'm sure as ordering, although I suppose I should do it now, but although I think things are already being tariffed in, from China, so. And they were not that cheap. I think the compressor was around 30, as I say, plus probably some shipping. And that is just a little high. Now, you know, I am getting, with the US one, I get an airbrush as well, which is cool, but what is going on here? Something is not going down the little drain here. Paint. So I have a little Rinsewell brush cleaning station, and it just was, it's had some weird stuff too. I've had that one. Now I've had that for a while, but I don't feel like I use it that aggressively. But the valve, the way you drain the reservoir, you press a little button and it pulls down a lever. It levers it down, and there's like a silicone or plastic, probably rubberized plastic. It's not rubberized. Flexible plastic drain stopper, right? So when you push it down, it lets it drain out. It's pretty cool, but like it has been leaking a little bit. So the airbrush is leaking out. As I say, I did not clean it. I did run some water through it, but that was just because you really should. But I'm going to clean it on camera. I have cleaned it once before now. I have been working on Venom, and I will continue with the other two and finish that one maybe today. But I just want to show this, and I'm not certain it's the one to buy. It was, I think it's $60 for this one. Generally, it might be on sale. But I didn't find it as amazing as I found the other one. Now, again, could be pilot error. I definitely am new to this airbrush. Not that it's really any different from most any other brushes I've used. Hey, Circe. Familiar Tales at my friend. I think it would be fun to paint those minis. Oh wow. So I have to look that up. The best way, so this is what I'm basically doing on all my streams. I might as well, I'll explain that to you because you may not be able to stick around. Then I'll get back to cleaning this airbrush. I really feel you need to start with, well, you can dry brush. Let me see if I can show you my dry brush ones. I have Iron Man, and I don't think this is the dry brush one, but maybe it is. I have one that's also dry brushed. Where is the two? Is this the dry brushed one? I never remember. No, I think it's over here. So you need to, here's the simplest method. Paint your minis white, entirely white. Let me zoom in a bit on this. Paint your minis entirely white, and then put on contrast or speed paints. So what my minis look like, so here's, for example, this is the Venom. I did paint his tongue, but this was, let me change my glasses here. I can't see this close. It's funny, I am nearsighted, but that's just a little too close. I believe that is the one I did. So this was what I had when I was doing the highlighting. I guess the paint wasn't thin enough. I had some splashing, which I know how to do an airbrush, so I don't know exactly what I was doing wrong. So, meaning the splatter. When you airbrush, you, well, it's right here. You start the air first by, this is a dual action airbrush. I would imagine single action airbrush would probably be bad in this regard. You press down to get the air, and then you pull back for the paint. So if you start pulling back without, at the same time, you have a tendency for the air to blast out any paint that might quickly build up there. But if you do the air first so that the air is flowing, and then you increase the paint, it shouldn't have any splattering. Now, it can happen, of course. There's no nevers. But if you just paint it white, then you use the colors over it. So you can see here on the tongue, it has some shading. This is literally just the tongue sprayed white. So it's pretty white. Now, there's some shading because of the zenithal highlighting, which I'll explain in a moment. But you just paint the contrast paint, and I think it was actually this one here, speed paint that I have. And I just painted it on the tongue, and it settled in and did its own shading. It looks pretty great. I think on this one I did a little tiny bit of white highlights, so I painted some standard acrylics on it, and then did a little bit of white touches, and I'll probably paint the whole thing with gloss varnish, the tongue I mean. Maybe even Venom, I don't know, he seems kind of wet. So if you paint them white and you just use those contrast paints, they'll settle and do their own shading, basically. It's pretty basic, but they look great. I painted, do I have it here? I do have it here. I've shown it many, many times. Okay, so this is the first thing I painted with contrast paints. And it's literally paint the miniature white, put the paint on. And it looks pretty good. This was like a black that was thinned, not really thinned, but reduced intensity with the medium for contrast paints. That's this here, technical contrast medium. And it just settles. You have to, so for example, this one you would want to set, you'd paint this part first and then let it settle at an angle, because if you don't, it drips to the bottom. So it might have even done a little bit of that. Oops, I'm sorry, out of camera. It might have done a little bit of that. But like the wood looks great. It's settled in, looks pretty cool. The hair and the skin, this flying bat bird. So all those things work pretty great. So it can be fantastic. You don't have to kill yourself. But I feel if you dry brush the highlights, which is, dry brushing means you paint the miniature black and then you bring highlights and shading by dry brushing white on top of it. You can do the gray and then the white, which I'll explain in a minute, that I do with airbrushing. But you can build up the highlights. Now the problem was, as you can probably see here, I painted her skin white because it was just too dark. It looks like, I have one mini that's a little dark here. These are Scots that were rattle canned. So he used a rattle can, painted them black, and then did the white as a zenithal thing. Now this one kind of doesn't have a lot of It still has shading, right? But you can see you didn't get it's hard. Like with a rattle can, you're not going to be able to easily coat, and you definitely lose some detail, but it works. And then, man, my brain is off. Well, anyway, Samuel L. Jackson, Nick Fury, there we go. Nick Fury Jr. Wow, look at, see, that got scraped. And this tendency of these rattle cans, and this was because it was shipped wrong. We packed this so that it should have been fine, and they repacked it for us, and it got messed up, which is a bummer. It means I have to touch them up, but that's not a big deal. But what I've been doing, which is more like this, this is Scott's, but you paint it black, and I'll show you one of the ones I painted black today. So this is what I was airbrushing. I was doing I did 12 of them, and I only did the black, but I painted it as black as I could get it. I don't see too much where I messed up. There's a little bit there. There's some between the folds. It's not going to be a big deal. If I'm really worried about it, I can do a little bit of thinned down black of the varnish, or the undercoat, which I'm using Stynylrez, which is a airbrush ready primer that's made by Badger, who's an airbrush company, and many of these companies have. I want to try both the the primers from Vallejo and Monument Hobbies. And here's the reality: it's going to take me a while to get to the bottle that I already have, so I'm not buying them. I've been very good and not bought them. I want to get through this. There's a little bit of flakiness there. I wonder what happened. So I did come into now this could be the end of the paints, I don't know. I really shook it well, refilled my bottle, so I have a little teeny dropper bottle. This is the white by the airbrush to pour it in as I'm painting. Now, I just took out the cup. This airbrush, the reason why I even bought this whole airbrush was to get this little cup, which I already have one for my high-end Harder and Steenbeck. There are more high-end airbrushes than that, but that's their high-end one. And I love the little tiny cup that I bought. So I specifically wanted one for this airbrush, and they didn't make, I wanted one for this, which is the one I bought. This is their Ace series, which Ace is the highest end, and this is their Premium series, which is supposedly not as high-end. It's pretty close, but I don't know what size needle this has. This came with, it says dual, and that means because it came with 2 needles and nozzle sets. So one thinner and one more heavier for heavier paints. Anyway, they didn't make the cup for that. And I was like, because it says things compatible. So I ended up buying the airbrush. It was on sale from their website, and I got the cup. The cup was like $8. This little thingy would have been $8 or so. Normally, I think they're about 10. And the airbrush was $59 or something like that. So I use the airbrush. I spray the entire thing black, and I try to cover it as best I can. Then the next thing I'm going to do is spray the airbrush at a 45-degree angle with gray. That'll be your intermediate highlights. And then when that's dry, I'm going to spray from the top, directly from the top, and I'm going to just spray white. And I'm going to try to lightly dust it, which, that is what you really should do, as long as it's bright. But these are comic book minis, and I feel like Scott's, let me show you one that he rattle can primed, and she looks pretty darn good. Here's the 2 that I've done. I've done 3 of these. One of them's put away. But this is the rattle can one. It looks great. I don't recall. I think I just went back in and cheated it and sprayed white on her face. So you see it's a little darker on the side. And that's probably more accurate, because it's kind of her head's tilting over and stuff. But they both look good. And I want the comic book kind of intensity with a little bit of lighting reality. Anyway. So there are many methods. The dry brush method's great, but I will tell you, your probably best bet for starting to paint is just painting the mini white and using some of the speed paints, and see if you like doing it. I keep pushing people to try to do the zenithal highlighting, which is all black, gray at a 45-degree angle, white directly down. But I was saying, when I paint the white, I tend to cheat it and put more light on the face. I like the faces to be strong because that's the focal point of these. These are just movers. They're not, there's no simulated combat or anything like that. You just move them around and then you do your stuff in the game. I love these minis. I love the chibi style. It's really fun. It's also phenomenal for starting painters. because they're huge. I showed that one, but let me show you the vampire I painted in October from Games Workshop. I mean, look at the scale. Tiny little face. Eyes aren't going to be the same. I did make an attempt at the eyes. They look okay. He looks great. A lot less paint, but a lot of effort. It's definitely tiny. I'm not the greatest tiny painter, but my friend Sebastian was very impressed with the mini. He was like, wow, you know, he was really blown away. So this red we got, that's this red from Army Painter. We bought it. What happened was we were trying to buy this and nobody had it. And so the guy he kept bugging the guy because what it was like a display set up for retail. So it had all the paints, everything, and he's like, can I buy one of these bottles? Because we couldn't get it unless you bought a full set. And the guy finally just pitied on him and gave him the red, not the color he wanted, and a couple brushes, which was very nice. And so I used that red, I think the following year, on this mini, and he's like, wow, that is all zenithal highlight plus the red. I'm like, yes. And it looks pretty great. So you can do, obviously, these kinds of paints that they were sort of basically pioneered by Citadel. Citadel was kind enough to give me a bunch of the second set of colors and the shades. I bought not all of the first wave. I will go buy them though, because I actually kind of want to form my own opinion, especially now that I paint in this method. And there are ways, so one of the knocks about both the speed paints and the contrast paints is when you're doing large smooth surfaces, you tend to get coffee staining and tide stains, what people are calling it. I think that's what they're saying. I'm not really sure what tide stains means, but I'm also not certain that's what they're saying. I watch a lot of content at double speed. It was always in my thing, it's coffee stains, where it pools and it looks kind of weird. And I've fixed that. I have one cape here that I manually went in, and it's not great, but you can see right here, there's a pool there that I might have even torn. Like when you're painting, you do not want, once it's starting to dry, leave it alone. But I was able to smooth it out, and it doesn't look bad at all on the table. So anyway, oops, right in the cup. But if you're doing it with the all white, you can do that. You got to be a little bit more cautious, like I'm saying, with the coffee staining. But definitely see if it's what you want to do. If you just paint it white, you don't even have to buy a spray can or anything. You can just buy decent paints. You should buy decent paints. This is like one of my two favorite whites are this one and this one. This one is surprisingly good at coating, but it feels more chalky. And that's my biggest problem with whites, is they are chalky. If you use this paint as a white, sometimes this is called bright neutral gray. There's too many things in there reflecting and it's causing it not to focus. If you use bright neutral white, bright neutral gray, it does a pretty good job of being white. I actually watched a Vincent Venturella video a little while back, and he was talking about exactly that. And he's 100% right. This is something I learned from when I painted in college and high school. You don't always have to use white. Now, if you're using real acrylics, I painted some oil paint. I did one oil painting or two, and then almost every other thing I did acrylic. I don't like dealing with mineral spirits and stuff like that, but it's not impossible, and there are painting methods that you want to use mineral spirits. Let me see here, blocking stuff. Hey, time roller. It does. Oh, I'm sorry. What WTF is a heel? It does kind of look like it was spray cold, but that's not what it was. I believe the paint was a little. So, I generally put a drop or two of water or airbrush thinner into the cup, into the airbrush before I put in straight paint, even contrast paints. Primers that are made for airbrush. In this case, I was using the new paint. I was using this, and I did not buy the Vallejo Air Color, I think is what they call it, dead white. I decided I wanted to have this because I'm going to use it more to paint whites than to airbrush them, and I don't think I thinned it enough. And that's fine. It looks cool. I'm very impressed with some of the ones that Scott airbrushed, rattle can primed, and the end results. And I have done that. I've had that happen before, even with the stuff I know how to use. First of all, it was new airbrush and new paint. But anyway, so if you're using one of these slightly off-white colors, like a slight, there's like warm whites and stuff like that, for whatever reason, they apply smoother. And it's 100% true. The other thing you really should do is only ever do relatively thin coats and do multiples of it. So if you're going to use this white, do it way thinner and just do more than, it's going to be a few, but then just cover the part that you want to be white and let it dry completely. Do not touch it. Get it on there and then leave it alone, and then do the next coat after it's dried, and you just do that. You build it up and it should be perfectly fine. But using this I use this on eyes. Like, I will put this in, and then I will put the white on top of this to do the highlights or to, adjust it. I think, let's see here if I did it on this one. I did. So I washed it with a thinned out contrast medium, I think. I think I used this black. Very thinned out, washed it so it had that ring. Then I came in with the gray, and I did a tiny bit of white, but I haven't done it all yet. And I will do more to pop it out. I did use some gray on here and not the white on these spider crests or whatever the heck, so, it's not impossible, and you can do great stuff without going berserk and spending too much money. Buy the colors you need. Don't buy sets unless you're really certain you're going to want to do it. But I feel buying sets is a trap where, and some of the really the best ones right now are Army Painter. They have good sets. Their paints are almost across the board all good now. So, but just don't spend a lot just to learn whether you really like painting. But I will tell you, you're going to get cool results. See how dark he looks from underneath and how bright he looks from above. That is what we're shooting for. And I'm going to paint this black. The problem is so is this guy airbrushed the same level. So this was the rattle can, I think. No, this is the rattle can one. So it's a little different, and you still get pretty decent results, right? I think these are probably brighter and maybe more comic book, proper, but I do like them to have a little, like I said, a little bit of real world lighting. Now, as I said before, you lose detail when although this is pretty darn good. Like, these really, really tight lines still have some detail. So it did not completely fill them up. These are definitely thinner. The acrylic primer settles flat, is very thin, and you might want to do more than one coat. I generally have to do more than one coat because I would like it to be solid black. But yeah, these, but here's the downer. The black won't, unless you make it really reduce the intensity a lot with the contrast medium, you end up, it just goes on. This is basically one coat, and it's black. There is no shading. I did a Black Panther, same thing happened. I was disappointed because I don't want to paint that many coats, but maybe I need to. Or there are other methods you can do. You can use the airbrush with contrast paints and speed paints. It's actually pretty phenomenal, but you're covering the whole thing. So the zenithal thing is basically kind of lost. So I just deal with it. Don't worry about it. Try to do some highlights as I sort of did here. I went and highlighted a few things. It'll probably beef it up and increase the intensity in certain parts and reduce it in others. It'll look fine. It's a comic book. I'm not really bothered by that, even though I'm trying to go for a little bit of reality. So these two are dry brushed. This one wasn't really intense, but it looks cool. And then I think I went back at the end and put a little bit of lighting around that. But you can see the ground is a little bit more scratchy. You're hitting the edges. So if you want to increase the intensity, so my school of dry brushing, which is years and years ago, is something different than what they're talking about now. Now there actually is more paint in the brush, and they do more dabbing, which looks great, by the way. Look at Artist Opus. They have amazing products, and their host is a great painter and does amazing jobs with dry brushing. Amazing jobs. I am not that good. This one turned out pretty good. So I dry brushed the metal. I used a metal paint, 2 intensities, which wasn't too helpful. Maybe 3. So I used I just saw it and picked it up right here. So I used like a silver and a darker silver maybe, and then metal medium, which is essentially like the brightest silver you're going to get. It's really white, kind of with metallic pigment. But it works pretty great, and it does highlights. I've used, as you can see, I've had this for a long time and used it for a long time. I do have metal medium, or yeah, metal medium is what they call it. What do they call it from Pro Acryl? I have Pro Acryls as well. I bought a bunch of their metallics. I don't think I've used their metal medium or whatever it is. Let me look at it. Can't assume. But they look great. Silver, silver, metallic medium. So same idea. This is very white. So I don't know. I will try this too. Nice thing about theirs, they include a mixing, an agitator. These are glass in here, which are fantastic. And Army Painter includes 2 mixing balls per bottle. So it helps. I mean, you really have to shake contrast and speed paints. There's more than one pigment involved, usually. It depends. And they will settle, and you need to mix them all together. For example, look at this white, this basilicon gray. It is a very grayish color, but it's basically the whole thing is kind of liquid, sort of darkish black or grayish black, and then this whole bunch of pigment at the bottom, which is, and it doesn't even have much. I have spilled this. I spilled this one. Did I spill this one? Maybe not this one. I spilled the other one. That's what happened. So I have an older bottle that I use for just doing stuff on the base. Is this it? Nope. That's another bottle of it. I have a lot of that one. I like that. That's literally one of my favorite paints from them, is the Basilicanum Gray. But they have tons of great ones. Where is the other one? Black or Basilicanum Gray. So here's the other one. This one has not been shaken. It's pretty low now. I've almost used it up, but I spilled a good third of it, but no pigment. Somehow, when I spilled this, the bulk of the suspended whitish grayish pigment went out, and it's not that anymore. So now this is kind of a shade, what they call it, like an ink or a shade. So you can see it's already starting to go away from shaking a little bit. I have an agitator over here because you do really need to mix them. And recommendations for dealing with stripped screw. You may need to replace a board on a TV and 2 screws left. So what I would do, what I have done seriously, is I've used a rotary tool and cut a new slot on a screw. I don't know if you can get at it in that manner. Usually if it's on a board, it won't be, it'll be a pan head screw, and you could cut that. The other thing you can do, there are tools that you can get. My mom bought me Craftsman set ages ago that will push out, they'll pull out the screw as well. But that's kind of it. Let me think, there's got to be some more others. You could also drill a hole in it in the top and then super glue in another type of a smaller screw with a head on it and potentially get it. But I also suggest somehow maybe putting a little bit of, I don't know, WD-40 in a computer though, or some sort of electronic components, I don't know. But yeah, you see now there's no pigment at the bottom. So you definitely need to shake them to get them to the level that you want. That you need, and then you just go for it carefully. I like all of the paints. I really like. I mean, I've been a big fan of the Games Workshop ones, the Citadel. They are expensive. They're close to $8 a bottle here. They might even be more than now. They had to change their prices. Let's see. I have one? I always have one floating around that has the price on it. I think it's that brown. Nope. Wildwood maybe? Yeah, $7.80. Now I bought this in 2019. I still haven't used it. It is one of my favorite colors that they sell. I don't shake them often enough. You kind of need to shake all of them, particularly whites. Whites, I have now learned that you must shake your whites often and a lot before you use them. The pigment is really heavy. Anyway, yeah, $7.80. They hadn't raised the prices, but they might have had to recently. Who knows? But you know, they've, like I said, 2019. I've used that bottle for nearly 5.5 years, and it's still. I got lots. I've actually only ever replaced 3 colors. I replaced the Basilicanum Gray because I messed it up I spilled this one too, with a paint stream with my friends, you know, like painting stuff together remotely. And I still used it. It didn't get messed up. It doesn't have as maybe heavy pigment like the black does, where black seems to have white. But there is pigment down here, and it's not completely mixed in yet. But it mixes much easier. You can already see bubbles moving around on the bottom, so it means that it's mostly clear. Let's see here. But I've used a bunch of these many times, and I haven't run out of any of them yet except orange, basilicanum gray, and did I replace anything else yet? Honestly, I don't think I have. Let me look. I'm getting close. Well, I say close, I don't know. I think I've only ever bought 2. Now, I'm close on one of the other colors, maybe the flesh. Yeah, the flesh, Gilliman flesh. This is another replacement bottle. That one is one I've used a lot of. Let's see here. Is that right here? I still have a third of the bottle. I mean, and this one I use a lot. And you tend to put out more than you're going to use. Number one, you kind of have to put it on heavy when you're just doing it straight on the model. I use these fidget poppers too as little palette spots. Like, oh, here you go. Finally, I'm going to do it on camera. Just comes right off. It's pretty great. This one's got a little bit thin there, but it mostly came off. So there's not as much scrubbing to get these things clean when I use these palettes. Fidget poppers, they're great. Adam Smasher, Uncle Adam, suggested those from Tabletop Minions, and I am totally in love with it. It works great. I still have wet palettes, and I have a new one which I think is in the refrigerator. I should have pulled it out because I do need it probably a bit today. Doesn't matter though. But yeah, Gilliman Flesh lasts a long time as well. But I think I was disappointed. Look how dark this is. It's great. It looks great on like Nick Fury and Shuri and Okoye. Look unbelievable. But guess what? It looks great on the other minis too. This is that color with the contrast medium. I did not get it. At first I'm like, wow, their flesh colors are not great. It's pretty hard. Because I wasn't getting a good result thinning with water. And I don't think you can't thin contrast paints with water. I mean, there's always a little water in my brush, even though I was watching a Warhammer TV one. I think they said get the paint out, or get the water out, which I'm like, I don't know, man. I want my brush to be at least a little damp, but maybe any moisture. But, well, here's another Black Widow. That's a little better. Same problem where I wasn't happy with this is why I spend more time. These were early, and I didn't airbrush it enough. I didn't go in and airbrush the face. You know, you can do very small amount of paint and slowly build it up, or you just go crazy and don't worry too much about it. Yeah, they're pretty cool. And you know, they do a great job. Now, so I was saying $8, nearly $8. These bottles, same amount of paint, I believe, 18 milliliters or something like that. Where is it? I feel like it's like right somewhere. Oh, there it is. 18 milliliters, 0.6 fluid ounces. It's the same amount of paint as these. 18 milliliters, 0.6 fluid ounces. But these are a good, well, this is acrylic, so the acrylic is the same. A standard acrylic. These are the speed paints. It's also 18 milliliters. These are $4.50 or so. They're not terribly expensive, and they're almost as prevalent as, maybe even more so than Games Workshop ones. Most hobby stores that support minis carry the Citadel, but they also carry the speed paints. And these are around. Like I would love to try to use some of Duncan Rhodes. He has a paint line. You know, when he left Games Workshop, he made his own paint line called Tooth and Coats. It's pretty great. These Pro Acryls, same thing. They're a little bigger though. I saw somebody that said a video recently and they said 18 milliliters. I'm like, what? It's 22 on these, so it's quite a bit more. This is the very first one I bought because their white was so highly regarded. This was made in Canada, I believe, and the new ones are made in Arizona. It's funny though. It is British Columbia. These were actually Creature Caster, I think, was working with the folks at Monument. So they decided, you know, they were having troubles getting just stuff often enough. So they set up a factory here. And it's not much of a factory, but there's some great videos out there of them filling them and stuff. So it's more paints, and it's about the same price as the Monument. I mean, the War Paints Fanatics. I think they're equally pretty great. I don't have as many Monument hobby paints. They're not local, so that's the other thing. Meaning they don't have them in stores near me. I looked at one of the stores I have been to several times, and they're gone. I didn't realize they were gone. I was sad because we went there a year and a half ago with Eric Lang and Matt Paquette, and I always buy stuff when I go. Not that that's going to keep them in business, but if everybody did, maybe they would. I was looking forward to going back because they actually carried AK Interactive and that I was happy about. They had all of the Army Painter. They had maybe Duncan Rhodes. Now, the only place I know locally that has Duncan Rhodes is Geeky Tees, which is a great little store. The new location, when I went there in August, was not really fully together. I have not been. Nikki and I were by there the other day, and we were running out of time. We were meeting Brian and Tashi to. Wow, okay, that's Doomfire Magenta. I thought this was the red. We were meeting them to play pinball, and so we need to get moving. So we didn't stop. And Nikki had not gone. I went with Christoph, our friend Christoph, and Nikki was not feeling well, so she did not go. But I'm hoping that their stock is better. You know, they moved. It's not, you don't want to move all that stock, so they might have had a bit of a sale, or they maybe just, it was a bigger space, you know. I mean, it is definitely, the new location, they're there because it is a bigger space. But the gaming, I couldn't, they want you to pay to go into the area, and I don't recall that being the case at the old location. We just wanted to look because we didn't have the time, but Christoph is a journalist. He's on part of the SDJ jury, and he just wanted to look at it to talk about it. I don't know if we'd ever been to the other location, or we had been to the other location, and it was, because we'd go there, we take everybody there when they come to town. The old location was really nice looking, real kind of clearly put together by people who are into everything there. The new location felt a little bit more like it's in like I don't think it's an office building, because I believe they actually have studio space in there. I don't know what they're doing with it yet. But you know, it was definitely some sort of it's in Burbank, so it's some Hollywood movie making related businesses in there at one point, but now they're a bunch of stuff, and then that space that they with a reasonably sized soundstage thing, you know. So I don't know what they're doing. You know, they were good friends with the tabletop people with Will Wheaton and stuff, and maybe they're just trying to do their own thing now. You know, probably Critical Role too. They probably know all of those folks. She's very nice. They have an animal rescue. I don't know if that's for cats, I believe only. You know, that you can adopt. I don't know if they have them at that location. It was one of the pluses about going there. Nikki loved seeing the cats. Okay, let's see here. But you've never painted me. Well, Nathaniel, I hope you listened to me there. I hope you learned something. Please let me know if you have any questions. You can write me at Board Game Geek. I am Heccubus, Heccubus on Board Game Geek if you want to write me there. I can give you suggestions. I've given many people suggested sets, like things to get started with. Again, I'm biased towards using an airbrush. So now let's get back to cleaning this airbrush that I have left out of the water this whole time. It's okay. I mean, you can already see it's pretty clean in there, but not clean enough. That is the one thing I am not certain about this airbrush. I don't know how. So there's a lot of paint on there. I should not be, well, first of all, I won't pull the needle out the other direction. It is a tremendous amount of paint in. Oh, that's why it was dripping. There's a good amount of paint in there. So I thought I ran a little bit of water through it, obviously not enough. And it was sitting upside down. So any of the pigment had settled, or the tip down, not upside down. So to get this out, I'm going to pull the needle through the body instead of this way. Now here's the deal. There's it's actually a small, let me see the picture here. It's actually a small needle, this O-ring, this Teflon O-ring. On the Badger ones, it's a tube. It's probably 3/16 of an inch long or more on that. So this O-ring will prevent paint from coming through, but that knowing that it's that small, when I saw this, I was like, wow. So it might be easier to set these. You kind of have to set, there is a tool that Badger sells, but like, I don't know if they sell that kit anymore. I never saw it, and when I saw it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to get that kit. Because I have needle bearings, Teflon needle bearings. I probably have the parts I could show you. Actually, let's just do it if I have it up front here. I have, what is going on? Am I gonna break this? I don't see it there. At the bottom? Maybe. No, it's probably up in the top. I don't want to dig around in there. Unless it's right here. It is not. But it's kind of long. And it's probably harder to seat. Now, I don't know how easy this is to seat this little crenellated top here. I guess you can rotate it to adjust it. The other thing was this actually fell into the water. Now, it's not a big deal. This, I can take this all apart. I don't know if they give you a tool for this. Does the whole thing come out? It sure does. It's different. So this is not like the ones from, because I feel like these guys are just kind of copying the other manufacturers. This is not like the one from, well, let's first, oof, I'm pulling it the wrong way. It's fine. Let's come this way. We'll do the other part in a moment because it's all wet in there. And I probably put, wow, see, that's a lot of paint. And usually it's less than that. But I did not run as much water through it as I normally would. I absolutely will, before I take anything apart, I run some water through it till it's fully clear. I did not do that. I didn't have time because I ran out of time. So the trigger comes out. It's a little challenging. I just pulled that out, and it's probably, you know, you shouldn't have to do this. You can actually if you watch some people like Vincent Venturella shows cleaning his airbrush, and I think Miniac Scott does that as well. He's done a project on it. Yeah, this is weird. Oh, it's connected. Okay, so this is different. Now, of course, I've just done this. Oh no, it's there. So there's a spring. You can adjust the tension of all that stuff. Wow, this is a different construction. That's cool. I've not taken this one apart. There's no need to, but you can see there's a pullback here. I usually use a toothpick. And it, inside there, let's see if we can get it to focus. Inside at this point right here, wow, is there paint there? Sure is. Oh no, that's grease. Okay, wow. There is, well, it seems like a lot of grease for air coming through here, but that's where the air, actually I don't think it comes through there, but you press that down, that little nub, and it will, it's the valve, and it will get the air flowing, and that's what this trigger is, right? You're pushing down on the trigger to actually get that to go. Now, that is there. So this is cool. So on the Badgers, this piece comes out. It's like a little lever that is on the end of this mechanism that adjusts, pulls the needle out, right? Because it's tightened on this end. Let's see here. Is it doing it right? No. Have I already fouled it up? Because I don't know how to build this, work with this one. I mean, they're almost all similar. That is weird. Oh wait, you know what? I'm doing this and it might be that it has pushed forward. That is what it is. Wow, that toothpick just snapped. I'm so strong, I broke a toothpick. So it needs to go down into the pivot point needs to be, I think, maybe it's there. Let's see how it goes. Well, we'll come back to that anyway when we put it back together. But there's that. Let's just screw that back in, see if it gives us what we want. So you can increase the tension, I think, on that, so that when it pulls back, how much force you're using to do it. Yeah, this is correct. But I just wanted to make sure there wasn't too much water in there. It's already lubricated, so I think we're okay. Then there's all the paint. So I'm going to just wick out some of this paint right now and then probably soak it in the water for a moment. Thanks so much, Nathaniel. It's not that hard to get nice results. It really is. It is a fun hobby. I find it extremely relaxing. I wish I had more time to actually paint. And other than, I'm now sitting in a different chair. I'm a little bit lower. I have a kind of a stool, a task chair stool that I love. It's mostly what I use because I'm tall. But my back is kind of like, you know, leaning over this stuff all the time is just harsh. Now, I say all the time, I have been trying to paint more, not getting as much as I would love to do. Let's see here. Yeah, we don't actually, it wasn't that cold here when I painted that stuff. We don't get a lot of real cold weather. We have had cold weather recently. So there's one thing. I'm getting paint, black paint out of these vent holes. Very much of a bummer. So I have the compressor. It's probably not completely aired out. Let's just blow some of this out. I have a quick disconnect mount on this. So that's going to pull that right out of there. You don't want stuff getting in there. I mean, this is a problem. It looks to me like there's a Teflon O-ring here too, which I don't believe, it's not shown in there. So it's either white paint from when now I would imagine if they tested this, they would use black paint. They would not use white. So I think it's from me, but I don't, because I use this white, and I think I cleaned it. Did I do it on the stream? I don't think so. Anyway, let's just get that cleaned up a little bit. The nice thing is it'll just flow through it. Now again, I shouldn't have, wow, I just dropped the trigger. Wow, that's very weird. Where did I do that? Oh, it's inside here. It's okay, it needs to be cleaned. You know, it's a pretty robust tool. I was going to say, look at Vincent Venturella or Miniacs. They're messy brushes. And, you know, my friend Sebastian, same way. They're smart. They're painting. They're spending their time painting and not worrying too much about caring for the stuff. Now, for example, when I go to Sebastian's, I end up cleaning his airbrush because we can't get it to work because it's dirty and clogged up. He hasn't used it very long, so I don't know if that's the issue or if no matter what, he just doesn't care. Because I showed him how to clean it last year and he's like, oh, okay. And then I went this year again and was priming those vampire minis and it was dirty again and wouldn't work. He wasn't there at the time, so I didn't get to ask him. I just cleaned it and did what I needed to do. It's fine. So let's put that back together. We can put the needle back in because it is clean, and then we will maybe pass it through a few times, and I'll probably blow some clear water through it. I am really a bonehead here. I'm not seeing the trigger. Is it still in there? No. Oh, here it is, underneath my hands. These are pretty. This is a nicely made airbrush, I will say. I just don't know if it's for me. And maybe ooh, there you go. Maybe the 0.3 is too small or too big. I mean, I think 0.3 is like one of the common. 0.3 and 0.5 are like my most common needles. I do have my. I can't remember what exactly size it is, but I have my one of my favorite airbrushes. Oops, I'm putting that on. It's not ready to go. My Badger Sotar 2020, it's a great airbrush. It's a detail airbrush, but you can put larger needle set with the nozzle, and it's great. I've maybe upgraded it, changed it when I got it. I can't remember what I think I kind of got a medium nozzle when I bought it. I bought maybe the largest and the smallest, just to have it. Now that seems too tight, and did exactly what I don't want to do, which means I have to take it apart again. Okay, I have not ever heard this music. I actually advanced the playlist I made ages ago, so I think what it was doing was playing the songs visible in the, wow, okay, that's good. So to keep the needle in, the trigger, got to put this needle in. That looks a little dirty. It could also just be, let me just put a little alcohol on the tip. Alcohol is safe on any of these parts. The only thing it's not safe for is rubber. There are some O-rings on these airbrushes, which I don't like, that have, that seemed to clean it. I don't think you can see it, but there was some stuff on there. So again, I left it out, which is a mistake. I should have left it in the water until I started cleaning. Getting carried away. But you know, this is what actually happens when you're doing stuff too. So I don't see any color coming off. So I guess I pretty much got it clean. But I will pass some water through it and maybe a tiny bit of alcohol. Then you put the clutch or whatever, what do they call it here? Fluid adjustment knob, but they don't say what that, oh no, there it is, needle chucking nut. Okay. The really neatest thing about the new ones from Harder and Steenbeck, they actually have a conical shape going in to guide the needle into the airbrush, and I will tell you right now, that's pretty awesome. Okay, so that's going to sit. I need to get the nozzle cleaned, which is pretty close. This is the biggest challenge for me on this new airbrush. This is a much longer nozzle than the one that came with the what do they call this one again? It's the Ace. Oh no, the Ace is the line. GHAC 98 dual. It's much shorter, and this is a new design that has some sort of. It's got these jogs in the flutes. I don't know how that benefits anything. The air, maybe, I don't know. I'm not really sure. Oh, you know what? There's 3 nozzles around it, and they probably, I don't know, Venturi effect. I have no idea. But it's harder to clean. I can't clean it out as simply as I used to do all of my other needles. I could actually insert a bit of tissue, twist it together, so you can see colors coming out on my fingers. But I don't see the tissue coming out. Look how much paint is in there. So this is paint. There's a paint in there. That did not. I needed to spray more before I did that. Definitely do that before you do it. Because you'll do a lot less cleaning if you do it. I just was out of time, and what I usually would have done at least 5 or 10. So empty the cup and spray it a few times till it's clear, then start pulling it apart. I do know enough about them that it's not that big of a deal. They're almost all so similar enough construction that you can figure it out. You know, like if this were clogged or spattering or the cup was bubbling up, I would know, okay, then something's obstructing the paint flow, and that's bad, not great. Let's see if I can get this to go all the way out the tip. Nope. And it coils up. But it is just watery, so maybe if I just clean it a bit, then run water through it, maybe that was, I caught it before it was too caked up by putting it in the, I have a little, one of those Lego pick-a-brick cups here that has a platform, and I can hang stuff on it. Works pretty great. So the nozzle, that's what the black spot is in there. That was the nozzle was hanging right down there, and so the paint dripped out. Interesting. Okay, well, let's go for it. It's not a big deal. You don't need to do a deep cleaning. This is something you shouldn't have to do every time. So that goes on here. There's a needle. It's poking out. Got to be cautious. This is a little more challenging than some of the ones I've had because it doesn't. It seems like it's segmented in there, like not segmented, but there's an actual transition between this nozzle and the rest of the housing for it. I don't know. It doesn't look like it actually comes off, but maybe it does. I also pull the needle through so it doesn't get damaged. Now, I'm jumping the gun here because this is not clean, but this is probably clean enough here. We'll find out when I pull this all off. There's a tiny bit of paint at the tip, which comes off easily enough, but it is inside the body of the airbrush. So let's push this all back. I'm going to hang it here. Sucks because I do not want to bang it around. There is no paint on the inside, but there could be a tiny bit. I think what happens is it sometimes, because you know this is the air. What happens here is you have the air coming around that tiny nozzle. So there's the nozzle pokes through the hole of the tip of this, and you can't really see it, but the air comes totally around that and then draws the paint out. it creates a vacuum that pulls the paint out and atomizes it, and it does a pretty great job. They're all pretty cool. This is nice. It's not, this is their premium, and it doesn't look as well manufactured as the other airbrush. I'll look at it here in a minute, but it's weird too. They've not made, I thought they were going to do another Ace airbrush, and I thought maybe this was going to be it, but it is not. So this is a different kind of a guard. You can airbrush without this on it at all, but I like this because it protects the tip, the needle, you know, and the tip of the nozzle. And I can easily clean it. Well, this is not clean, so we'll see about that in a second. But yeah, you can easily clean the tip. In this case, the needle does not poke out very far, which is sort of uncommon. I had to, during airbrushing, clean it. There's a little bit of dark. Maybe this is it. Right here. I brushed it across the needle to pull a little bit of dry paint. It was not bad. I honestly feel that that is residue on that. So you generally, that's the other nice thing about this type of, what do they call it? Air cap. This one here has less surface area to catch paint. So usually I end up using a Q-tip to clean it all out of there. Seems pretty good. And let's put that together to protect the nozzle, and then we will run a little bit of water and air through it. It's nice. It's a nice airbrush. It's not great. I mean, it could be. I shouldn't judge yet. The other thing that is not clean is the cup. This is just the body of it. There's a cup, and I did not have any paint in here. Now, it could have come out when it was sitting inside the water. I don't know. But the previous time I used it, I feel like I talked about this on the stream, so I must have done it last week. I did airbrush on camera, maybe even, yeah. So I probably did do this. It's silly, I'm doing it again. But I didn't do a deep cleaning. I feel like I wouldn't have done that, but I must have. Who knows? I can go back and look. So this is a smaller cup. It has a lot of residue in there. I can see it already. But I was running it with it mostly full. So, I mean, it would clear out, but I would fill it back up to be pretty full. So I can use alcohol, might as well. It does have no gasket. There is an O-ring of what do they call it here? O-ring of Teflon in there. So it's going to be pretty durable. And it was leaking paint the last time. I don't exactly know what I did wrong because I felt like it was tightened down. Maybe I was talking about it after the fact. That was probably more likely. I don't think I cleaned it on stream, but who knows? Maybe I did. I feel like I airbrushed and used that compressor and knew because I was explaining I had messed it up. So yeah, I'm bummed. I don't want to buy another one of those compressors, but it was pretty helpful. Nikki was excited about using it, and she could. I mean, it's not working, but it just sounds like it's getting worse every time. This is definitely got a lot of paint, and it's not as easy to clean. It does seem like it's pretty polished in there. That's the one thing I'm most impressed with these. I'll show the two different cups. So I feel like parts of this newer airbrush here. This is called the Mobius 0.3. It's a premium, gallery premium Mobius. Premium is the line below Ace. And I'm always, there's more. There's another Ace one. I think the Swallowtail, there's a YouTube reviewer, Barbados Rex. And they worked with him and did an airbrush. I mean, he's great. He does cover a lot of stuff. He buys a lot of stuff. Hopefully his YouTube channel is paying for a lot of that, and he might have Patreon and stuff like that. I don't get to watch him as often. I mean, he's mostly concerned with Gunpla and cars and planes, so I don't watch him as much as I might, because I usually watch everybody's stuff. But he does produce a lot of content and shows the different paints. He's very good about covering different metallics and stuff like that. So this is the other airbrush, the original one I got. The cup is pretty polished. The new one, it seems like they are even more intensely polished. Now they are easier to clean. Paint still dries in them, still makes it hard. That's a screwdriver, not an airbrush. But this one seems way more polished. And I do need to try it. I bought this one so that it would be easier to clean. Does it feel like it's more polished? Maybe not. The one thing that is bad about both of these is the throat has an angle. So you're going to catch paint on there. And it's, you know, it's way down in the cup. Now, if you use, and you should, is that water? That is water. If you use airbrush cleaner, it is a soapy stuff. It actually does break the stuff down. This feels like it has a catch in here. Inside here, there's absolutely like not smoothly finished. I have not used this, so it is. There should be no paint in it from me. Maybe that's just something else. I mean, they do test this stuff usually. I'll clean it up and see how. I'll try it. I absolutely should have used it this time. I was filling the cup way more often than I expected to, because you know the black doesn't seem to go as quickly as it was going here. Now I was thinning it, so that might have been part of it. But I was very happy with the thinning. It was an absolutely wonderful amount of flow. You know, I didn't have it really choke up too much or clog up. So let's run a tiny bit of water through this and some maybe alcohol. Let's do alcohol first just to make sure. But you don't want any chunks to go through. That's why you want to make sure your airbrush is clean before you open it up. Any chunks that get in there, it causes problems. It spatters. The cup will burst like because it's just a pop of air because it can't get the paint to go through. I've had that happen a couple times. Maybe more than that over the years, but recently. Let's put some water in. I have this bottle, which is what their tattoo bottle is what they call them, and something else. I mean, there's probably scientific. These are probably really bottles for scientific stuff. So I little bit of pressure to get it to bubble up, which is what I did, and then I ran some paint through it, but not a lot. I mean, water. That's pretty good. Okay, I think it's clean enough for me to get to painting. I'm not 100% sold on it yet. I mean, I own it, so I'm not turning it in, but I'm not certain that I would recommend it as the starter. I do need to use it more. I did not purchase another needle. I don't need it. I was just seeing if this was pretty cool. So it's got this Mobius, is what I'm sure has come with the name of it, for this cutout for the channel. This is to pull your needle and to maybe get the paint to on the tip before you point it at what you're working on. So that's kind of cool. It's just fun. I don't know that it's necessary. Seems like this is loose. So did I not get this on here tight enough? Probably not. Or did that come through? It came out again. So this is my mistake. Well, let's pull it out. It's all got all the stuff on it. Harumph, I say. I blew it. Taking it apart is not, I mean, I don't know this airbrush. I'm very good at taking apart Badgers. I've done them so many times over the years. I'm more of a let's clean it all the way person. It's not necessarily required. It isn't. You run into troubles. Okay, well, let's see if I can get, it doesn't seem like it's going all the way to the top there. Do I not have it on the right side of that bump? That is possible. Well, that means the needle's got to come out. Okay, let's see if I can do it. Because it feels like it's not, maybe I pull that out and have it come into that cup. Boy, let me see if it has a picture showing it. Does not. Bam, bam, bam. I don't see how it could get in there, so I don't think it's correct. I think this is right. It's just different construction than I'm used to. So put the, I'm sorry that's not on camera. Put that back in there. Get that all the way up. It really feels like it's too low. That's why it kind of came out of there. But it might have been just in the me tightening it up part that didn't get it right. Actually, I could probably look at the other one and see what they did on that. Their construction is, because it's not really a, wow, this is not going like there we go. Oops, once again. So, put that in. Doesn't have to be in there. Put that all the way to the end. Let's put the needle in there so it doesn't Can I do that? Yes, I can. So it doesn't come apart. Screw this in. You get to see the comedy of errors here. So on the harder Steambook, there's a tool to loosen this. There may be something. I think it's just you probably loosen it with this hex on the back end here. It's not necessary, and probably as long as you take decent care of your airbrush, you probably never need to worry about it. I think what happened was it twisted before I fully tightened it up. We will find out. And that seems like it's the tightest it's going to be. So, okay, now let's put the nut on there. Needle chuck is what they called that. Needle chucking nut. Okay. I don't know. I don't want to really badmouth this because I haven't used it enough, but I feel like this one is not quite as polished as the other. Anyway, let me look at that other, and I'll see if I can see it. Disconnect that, pull it out and look. This is a completely different, wow. But it's low. It's just as low as the other one, and so it's not like, I don't have a badger out. I do have the hiccups. Gosh, is that inside the cup? What is it getting stuck? Wow. Am I going to just not recommend all these? I mean, why is that doing that? Oh, it was too tight on the there is like you can overdo it. Yeah, this one's too tight. Is it stuck in the, oh man, don't tell me I didn't clean this one too. I feel that's what's going on here. Once again, now that's got the, okay, it did it there. So, yeah, see, it's too tight. Something's up. Let me make sure it's actually working. I can't see it. Wow, I'm wasting time. I am sorry. Yeah, it's not pulling it back. I feel this one is like stuck. Wow, what did I do? You soak that in alcohol. You know, it does not look, it looks similarly manufactured. I should relax on that. I mean, who knows how fantastic you can get it with that very closely. Actually, let me just put some alcohol on the cotton swab and soak it on there and see if it'll, I can't believe it. I felt like I cleaned this one. I know that I did it once though, and I feel like I fixed it, and then maybe I did it again. I don't love airbrushing on a stream because I'm a very much clean it now person. I can do the whole, do all 3 stages of priming it. I don't generally airbrush a ton of different colors at once, just maybe just the black, white, and the gray. Black, gray, and white. Let's try to get that to come out. Yeah, it's not coming out. Wow. I do not know what is happening. There it goes. Weird. I don't know. Maybe it was. Well, let's find out. I know I cleaned this one, as a matter of fact. I am positive, because I cleaned it and I hadn't used it. Yeah, there's no paint on there. But it could have been. Who knows? But you can see this is how much smaller that nozzle is. And it's easier to clean. I can actually get the tissue paper to poke out of the end and just make sure that I'm getting it all the way through and cleaning it. Did I just catch that needle? I'm trying to injure myself. Tattoo myself, I guess. Let's pull the needle back. Put this on. I can maybe look at what I was going to look at here on this. That's weird. That really felt like it was stuck with paint, like it had happened before. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe there's something else. Maybe it needs some needle. I have the needle juice, which is just a lubricant for the airbrush. Now maybe I can see this. Boy, I'm just breaking toothpicks. Well, this is probably too tight for me to do it. That's another thing too. although it doesn't feel tight at all in using it, so who knows. Anyway, it's working fine now. I'll worry about it later. So yeah, this has a different kind of cutout for to pull the needle. I don't do that very often. Sometimes, depends on what I'm painting. It's particularly if I'm painting a lot, like a new color, I'll come through and I'll hit that before I start. But mostly I just follow the proper steps for trying to make sure you don't have any splatter. Okay. So let me put these two back. I think she belongs over here. I have three, actually probably have, no, I think I have three. I don't think Scott sent that to me. Black Widow. So I have 3 Black Widows I've painted. 2 for myself and 1 for a friend. I don't think I have it. I would have painted it already, probably. Do I have the Marvel? He is over here. So I like this one too. This was just the zenithal highlighting. He looks pretty good. I like this one a lot though. I think the color is a little better than on the... I didn't have as many colors when reds when I painted that. Now I used this, I think the same red on the metallic, but it really came out differently. So I'm not 100% sold on the metallic thing that I did. This needs to go back on that airbrush. So let's get back to ting. That was a pretty clear ring. Let me put this back in the box though. It seems like it's nice. The problem is I feel like right now I have had a better experience with some of the cheaper airbrushes, so I'm not really sure. Oh, you know what? I can't put that cup in here. Does not fit. I need to actually put this in. But I kind of want this to be a detail brush, and I'm not. If I can't do that, I'm a little disappointed. So it should be able to do that. I'm not a crazy detail brush, just a light, something that's easy to clean, and light levels of paint. You know, not super heavy, and hope get what I kind of need out of it. I don't know. Man, I will tell you the primer though. This has been sitting in here, and it does not come off easily. The primers really adhere. I like this. I really like this. I've had this paint for, gosh, I don't remember where I bought it from. You can't, supposedly that you don't want it. Now they may have changed their formulation. I watched a video. Somebody, maybe it was, oh, you know what it was? It was Goobertown Hobbies, I think, did talking about paints being frozen and how it messes the paint up. As a matter of fact, that's what he did. He went through multiple cycles freezing it and showing how bad it was and how some paints suffered no problems. But the Turbo Dork CEO or whatever, one of the main guys, explained what happened with them. I guess they had a problem with it, and he said they had to add they had to formulate it to prevent freezing. They put like an antifreeze in there and stuff like that. So that's another thing about don't put paint in your mouth. There's all kinds of crap in that stuff. Even though it's supposedly non-toxic, you still don't want it in you. But it was interesting. I don't have any Turbo Dork. I only see it in Dallas at a store we go to, and I don't want to ship it home. I have shipped a few things of paint home, and it's been okay, but... Okay, let's get back to this. What time is it? I think I wasted way more time than I wanted. Where is my phone? Boy, I'm really not doing great. Maybe I don't have it out here. That's unfortunate. Okay. Wow, I don't know. I do need it. I need to call my mom. I need to pay attention to the time. Hold on, let me look. It's only been an hour, a little over an hour. Okay, so I need to do the base. Actually, let's spend a bunch of time painting the black on this. I'm going to do the tongue. I want to do the gloss varnish. I don't have... Is that down here? I think it is. I put one of the mixing balls from... you can't see it. It's never at the right angle. Mixing balls from... so when you get them in the bottle, you can't really see it. I pulled it out, though, recently. These are Pro Acryl empty balls that you can buy. They have a larger piece of clear glass piece. They sell smaller, I have that. That's not, you can't really see it. I bought like 200 of these. These are all lab grade glass, and they're pretty great. They're not going to rust, not likely to break. But what's nice about these smaller ones, and I've been using them in the Citadel paints, is this smaller diameter gets into the corners, because there's one in here, gets into these corners pretty well and mixes the paint up in the corners of the bottom of the bottle. So it's pretty cool. Now, these have two, there's two in this one. I will be running out of speed paint medium soon. And that's the other thing I spilled. Spilled half of that because I was trying to put some into this palette, and I didn't clear the nozzle. You really have to be careful. And this stuff dries. It's very weird. You would think it'd be exactly the same as the other paints, but you have to make sure it's clear. And so somebody suggested, I was using a paper clip, which I'm still using, but somebody suggested I mount it to a handle. Now, I didn't use the handle. This is a little stand. They give you these in the brushes, the inexpensive brushes I buy. I suppose I should say cheap. And they are protecting the bristles. They're clipped together like all of the same size. And they give you these little standoffs, which is great. And so I use that, and it's sitting here all the time, and I never lose it. And it's the only green, like non-paintbrush tool that I have over here. So it's very easy to find. I won't be using the speed paint right now. I'm going to be using the contrast paint. Where are the tweezers? We played yesterday with Aaron and Amanda. It was a fun day. We played 3 games, so hopefully one of them will be next week's episode if we can get it done. We'll see. But it was very fun. It was a really good time. We played 3 great games, and I'm excited about all of them. Today's episode is getting a lot of negativity. Nikki didn't love it. Now, she doesn't understand the game, and that's fair enough. But it seems like the audience kind of cued in on the negativity. There's other potential reasons for the negativity. The publisher's a little challenging sometimes. Nikki used to work for them. We liked the game. I liked the game. I played it at Spiel, and I was like, I want to get this. And happily, I did not get to go to Queen. We were so busy, we didn't get to go visit. You know, I was dealing with my foot. And we should have. I think we rolled by there, but we didn't actually go and meet with them, which is too bad. So I was going to do the tongue. Let's do the tongue. Let me shake this up more. I need to clip my nails. They're really getting long. It's ridiculous how fast they grow. I don't know what that's saying about me. Okay, let me put this back where it belongs. So we're going to do that tongue. And it should be dry before, it'll be dry way before we are done, so we can take a peek at it and see how shiny it is. I probably should have painted a little more white spots before I painted over it so that it would look, you know, like super bright, shiny, but I can do that still after. You see how dark it is on this side where it didn't get highlight as much. Now I airbrushed this probably recently when I did this one, maybe. Oops, you can't see it. Might have done these two together. This was the one Scott did. I think it's okay. I did not really look at it, and I should have, to see if it's ready for paint, because I have had to touch up some of the undercoatings on those because they did not get shipped to us properly. So you want to kind of wick up. You don't want any pooling. I'm not really certain what happens with varnish when it pools. I know it dries very flat, but if it's a pool of it, what will it do? I don't know. Okay, it seems pretty shiny. We'll see when it's done. That is the glossiest stuff I have. So we're going to do the black. You definitely don't want... Oh, another thing. When you're painting white, you can use varnish. and that will help smooth it out when you're painting. So I've done that a couple times and it seems to work, but I've kind of moved on from just using pure white unless I'm airbrushing it anyway, except for like maybe some highlights. Anyway, that looks pretty good. So I'm going to try to do both of these relatively quickly. The details, like I said, don't look too bad on the rattle can primer here. So you can see a little bit of damage from the shipping. It should be okay, especially because this is going to be a black. I'm using Black Legion, which is one of the newer Citadel colors. It is the second black that they did. Black Templar, which is one of my favorites, is the one that they do here. You have to mix them a lot. I don't know what the pigment's like on this. I believe the size of the pigment particles is smaller in black than it is white, so it's not, I don't know, that's so weird. Seems pretty mixed up. Okay. So I use another one of those things that I put the paperclip on. And I'll pick one. I mean, these are all, I don't know if that's water. Why would that be water? Anyway, I don't want that little bit of white in there, whatever the hell's going on in there. I don't want it to get in the, well, it's not going to go through an airbrush, but I've noticed little bits of stuff getting suspended. So that's what, you do still need to clean this palette, but it's much easier to clean because number one, the paint, wow, it's got something in there. Oh, you know what it is? I did put water in there. That is actually contrast medium. Or no, that's probably the varnish that I mixed of a bit of matte and satin to give me to do hair. That's exactly what it is. So you need a lot of this paint. It does not last. I actually wish it had it in an eyedropper bottle. I have put some paints in, Citadel paints in the dropper bottles, but I don't like the dropper bottles that I got. They're okay. The two problems that I got them, I believe, on eBay. I couldn't find what I wanted, and I think I bought like 50 or something like that. Whatever it was in a bunch, you know, like in a set. Oh, you know what I didn't do first? I usually put, well, actually, I'll put a tiny bit of contrast medium in. It's not enough, though. I know I haven't done enough. I need to, why did I do that? It takes a lot. Okay, well, let's do a little more. Can't hurt. Hey, thanks for the follow. Dennis Shaw? Denisha 001 maybe? Thanks so much for the follow. But yeah, it's you do need a lot. As I said, I did not put a lot of contrast medium on the last one I did. I wanted to do all three of them, but it took a long time to paint, and I ran out of paint. It goes quickly on these minis. Yeah, this Black Legion's neat too. They're both pretty cool. This one looks like when it's, you'll see here when we put some of the contrast medium in, it looks bluish, but it doesn't look so blue on the mini. My opinion was it was sort of like a warmer black. This is just my, you know, non-technical knowledge of what is going on with it, it seems like. And it's all a guess. It looks pretty, I don't know, it's black. I don't have any of the black. Black Templar is great. I love it too, so I don't know. Okay, that should be mixed enough. I'm excited to get this will be the first bottle that I've gotten the mixing balls that I put in out when it's done. So I'll put them in something else, maybe the next bottle of this stuff. Is it diffusing in there? You can't really see. But I think it kind of like starts to mix. Anyway. You could put a lot more and probably get the shading underneath it, but then I feel like no matter what you do to build it up to black, you're going to lose the zenithal highlight on black. So I'm not really sure what the answer is on that. I don't know if anybody watched, but last weekend there was a live stream from the Tabletop Live Network. Dutch Yoda is now running that, helping to manage it. Ruel, so it was created by Ruel and the Brothers Murph. And the Brothers Murph got too busy for it, and Ruel is now too busy for it. So they have Dutch Yoda running it, and he did a pretty good job. He got me the schedule. I put it on there. But the reason I'm mentioning it is we do have a channel. You can be watching this on BGG. You might be just watching it on the front page. But there's a page called BoardGameGeek.com/live that is our live streaming page, and it has ours and other folks' streaming schedules on there. So if you want to know what, like we streamed board games on Tuesday here. We actually should be putting them on Twitch as well, but we have given, just haven't had the time. I need this on the handle. It's a great way to see what's happening, and we try to put the games that people are playing. If they get me that information, I will put it in there so you know what they're going to be playing. We are terrible at that, honestly, because Nikki is really kind of the one deciding what we do. Although I think she was going to do one game this week, and we weren't quite ready, so we just did Quacks. We were excited because we actually had just filmed something for that, and so we were eager to play it because we hadn't played it for a while. Okay, here we go. I will tell you that tongue looks pretty shiny. Maybe too shiny? We'll see. So this lower chair seems to get me closer to the work, and maybe I'll be like more in focus because my hands are resting on the table. That was what I really wanted to try to do. I'm still leaning over looking at it, and I don't really want my face level with the table anyway. So I think I'm gonna, Candace, so we had a media meeting, and Candace is gonna come paint some minis with me. We had, goodness, I think at least a year and a few months back, we painted together minis from Nemesis. She was very excited. There was a new Nemesis, like a Mars themed one, and she had stuff she wanted to paint, and so I showed her how to do it on the stream. It was really fun. I don't think she really got to painting anymore. She got busy, but she wants to do that, and so we're going to do these minis from a game, and we might actually do it play the game on GameNight. It would be fun if we do. We shall see. I don't want to have her doing too much work. She's got other things she needs to do. But it would be fun. We had a great time painting. And her first mini that she painted ever turned out pretty great. We did a full-on zenithal highlight and used probably the contrast paints. I don't know if I had the speed paints. No, maybe not. I think I actually had I had purchased the speed paints. I had like a gift certificate, I think, from Amazon for my birthday, and I used it for that. Oof. Just put it on the other side of his head. Gotta watch your fingers. So there are handles, paint handles, that will allow you to rest your finger, and I use them all the time, but I don't use them on here because blocks my the view of the miniature when I'm painting, so I don't use it. But I got to tell you, I probably should because I'm clumsy. This stuff's got vocals. They don't usually have vocals. I selected these, so I made this playlist a long time ago. It's a lot of songs, but it only plays what's visible if you like. Let's play everything in order, continuous. It only plays to what's listed. You have to load more to see more. And so I was always like, why am I hearing the same song already? There should be hours of songs. And it was because I only had 3 hours showing, and it looped over to the next stuff after that. Here, I broke that toothpick. Let me see if I have another one here. I don't see one, so let's get another one out. There we go. Or maybe not. There we go. I like these. These are from Germany. I was like, I want that to dispense toothpicks. I can't remember how I knew those. I might have seen them in the store at one point. Or maybe I just saw them when we were shopping. When we were there one time. So this one actually doesn't look too clogged, the details with the rattle can primer. Because I feel these little horns of this spider here, or fangs, I don't know what's going on there, would have been obscured. Really depends. I say that I was busy with the cleaning of the airbrush, but I did explain some painting stuff. I explain it all the time, which is totally fine. That's the whole point of me doing this. I would like people to paint their minis. There's no reason not to. And there are ways to improve and help build your talent and your skills. You know, people are like, I'm too shaky, but what you need to do is you just stabilize your hands, you know. You can hold them together and paint and get really, because you know, then you're moving together, they're moving together. I find that when I'm low like this, I can be pretty stable because they're both resting against the table. There's really no need. I'm not trying to have the contrast medium, the undercoating show through the contrast medium, so you don't have to do it so that you're trying to do it all in one coat. Now, normally what I do, black I'm not sure how great it would be, but normally what I do is I sort of creep up on the intensity. I will start by putting a good amount of the contrast medium in to reduce the intensity of the color, and I just keep adding it, applying coats until I get it to the level that of color that I want, and it works pretty great. And I think that's one reason why I want to try some of the Games Workshop other colors. I did not buy ultramarine blue because people, I don't know that I need it anyway, but especially now that I have a bunch of the speed paints. I did buy the big set of, not the big set, the mega set, which is, I think that's correct, 50 bottles. there's definitely levels, but of the acrylic, I wanted to buy some of the acrylic, and I said that they were available, and they are, but the local store we have that we go to does not carry them at all, and the store that does, that's sort of in the area, really leans towards Games Workshop. They do have some Army Painter paints. I kept thinking they had Vallejo, but they don't. Or at least they didn't. And they don't really need to carry too many sets. That's the thing. I'm actually pretty impressed with Kiki Tees because they have 2 thin coats, but I think they only have the first wave of colors, which is unfortunate. And they have Army Painter, a good supply of Army Painter, and they have Citadel Game Workshop's colors. So they're out there, and they have it, but they're in Burbank too. They're like on the far side of Burbank, so it's a trek. It's not that far from, as I said, that was the reason why we were over there. We went and bought the white that I have there, that Vallejo, from Burbank House of Hobbies, which is a great little store, but they don't have a ton. They do have Game Color, Vallejo Game Color, but they don't carry any other. Maybe they carry some AK Interactive. I mean, I know they carry some AK Interactive. That's where I bought the varnish that I have, but I'm not sure what colors they have. You know, there's different, usually they have different series. They'll have like scale color, like stuff that's meant to look like, to match military colors from history and stuff, or modern. And then they have usually called game color, you know, or their fantasy colors. The game colors are Vallejo. I think they've always called theirs game colors when they're like that. So they're almost always like bright, crazy colors. It's fantasy or fantasy war or fantasy historical kind of stuff. But yeah, those are the closest, and that's 20-something miles away. We don't go that often out that direction, although our favorite pizza place is over there. We did go there to meet my mom for dinner after we played pinball with Brian and Tashi. That was cool. But yeah, I'm literally 2 minis away from being done with my Wave 1 minis. And I have 20-something, oh no, probably a little more than that, of types of models, but multiples of them to paint that I want to finish before starting. Well, what might happen is I might start doing the meta, multiverse set, which is Wave 3 of the Marvel United. I might paint those because we want to do them on the show. I mean, I'll make all the ones that I've already done available. Wow, that was loud. I think can I message Nikki? I don't think I have my phone out here. I don't know what I was doing. Let me check. I really do need to let her know some stuff. Hold on a moment. I'll put this down here so you can see it. Eesh. But yeah, I think that's a package that I ordered for my mother. Her birthday is this weekend. Let me see. I don't see it. I really do need to message her. I did bring it in here. Cool. Sorry about that. This chair's not bad. We bought it to run the streaming in the studio, but we don't do that much streaming in the studio. We probably had this chair 6 or 7 years, almost exactly, because I think we maybe bought it in 2018 for at the time of Gamma Trade Show. Maybe the November one. We used to do, Scott would come out, which was fun, I missed that, but he just doesn't like the traveling. But he would come out for streams in November. We used to do, it's a bad time really. We used to do, what is it called? Oh, I do have something to tell you. I didn't say it to Nathaniel. Extra Life. We would do a 24-hour stream, which was fun, but we are all getting to where we can't do that. Aaron was going to come to our stream on the 21st. He's like, I can't do a 24-hour stream. I'm like, you don't have to. We're only planning on streaming about 8 hours. And we did okay at that. We started a little late. There was, everybody kind of showed up at about that time, even though I was trying to get people to show up a little bit before. It's hard. And then we ran a little bit late. Candace had to roll, and we finished the game without her. But this chair, we bought that for the control room, and we just don't do anything in there. So I think I'm gonna swap it, even though I don't really like this kind of chair. Hey, thanks for the follow. It is Alfie Anders, maybe? Thanks so much for the follow. Yeah, we don't, I'll put the stool one in there. I love that one, but it's not great for the painting. Yeah, this is a neat model. I really love the Carnage that I painted. Do I have him out? I don't think so. Well, I do. He's sitting right here. We should pull him out in a bit. I want to do more. I have 2 more of those to paint, so I'm eager to do them. Maybe I'll do a better job than I did on mine. Amos, still hoping you play Pandemic Season 1, Legacy Season 1, maybe you do it live. Maybe. We have a tough time getting people over here regularly. I mean, we would love to play them all. Deborah played everything. So when we did the Harry Potter, we got some people who were upset with us, but the thing was, like, it's Deborah's favorite game. And she played it during the pandemic for like hundreds of hours. And she said she thought we hadn't played it on the show. I'm like, oh no, we did it. It's just that, I don't know. We don't need to get into that. But it is a challenge. So what we had done was we very excitedly at the beginning of 2020 with Deborah, she did not have a child yet. And we played a thing called the Wilson Wolf Affair, which is something Scott kindly bought 2 of. It was an expensive Kickstarter. And it was like an escape room puzzle hunt kind of thing. And it was really amazing. And we did it over 4 sessions. We actually kind of blew it. We did it, and then Deborah's like, I gotta go. And we're like, okay. And so we wrapped it up, and we're kind of cleaning up. We were maybe reading some stuff, and then Deborah, we heard her come back in. She's like, I talked to my husband, and he said I can stay. So he didn't need her to come home. And so we played another half hour, at least an hour, I would say, and maybe went out to eat after that. But we loved it, and we did all that. So what we were going to do was we did it on the show. We were going to play Clank Legacy, and she loves Clank. She actually taught us Clank Catacombs, did a pretty great job on that. I mean, we had a few mistakes. But yeah, we were going to continue with that, and then we actually did do the initiative. And here's where we won't probably do any more legacy kind of things, really, especially because it's hard to get people to consistently come over. It was a little easier then. Dave Both Dave's parents were still around. He was down here. He's now up in Northern California most of the time. Comes down for a week or so, every month or so. So, you know, and Dave's fun. Dave is really fun for those. Both he and Aaron are great. Well, even Deborah, you know, Deborah does DMing, so she would be great at managing it, but she just can't do it. And right now she's away. I believe they're already filming. I saw something on, you know, because the new the new version of the show's coming next week. And so they're already filming it. But anyway, we just can't. And Aaron's great too. We have done Arkham Horror stuff, and he wants to come over for this type of stuff, but he is trying to write again. He is trying to get some, I don't know exactly what he's writing, but that is, he started with us, and then I think in 2017 or 18, he said he needed to leave. And it really bummed Nikki and I think Dave as well. All of us, we all love Aaron. He's been around the whole time. And so we were bummed, and we were like, well, maybe we can have you come down, or when you come down to visit your parents, we'll do something. I don't know that that ever happened. Maybe once or twice, maybe. And then he ended up moving back. He's like, do you guys still want me to come over? We're like, absolutely. We were very sad you were leaving. And then he got busy again because he got a real crazy job. And that is done. So he now has more time, but we don't want to like tie up all his time. And his father he's also helping take care of his parents. His mother's, I believe, doing pretty good, but she needs help taking care of the dad. His dad's doing pretty good now, but he was having some issues. And so something is not focusing there. Why is it not focusing on that? So yeah, and even us. So Nikki now is going to her mom's once a week. Her parents are quite old, and she's just helping them out, like taking care of, helping them get things done. And they've had all kinds of stuff. 2 weeks ago, they had a long financial meetings and stuff like that. It's crazy. So her brother and her have been helping them. Particularly Nikki. Her brother is over there because he lives there and helping, but he doesn't want to do everything. It's just too hard. And so she is busy with Fridays, and I'm probably going to be doing the same thing for my mom. She's doing great still, but you know, she kind of needs help cleaning up, and she doesn't get around easily, and she might hire somebody, and that's fine, but I can help her. Like when Nikki's going, I can go help and do the same thing. Now, if I drive my mom around, will need to go in her car, because my car, Nikki drives usually, I think once she gets over there, and she doesn't drive her mother's car, she drives her own. But I have a MX-5 Miata, so I won't be driving my mom around that. I do have another car that's potentially I can get back. It's totally fine, but it is not here, so I can't drive it. Yeah, Harry Potter's awesome. I had more fun in the first one because my love of the theme was more unabashed, but she has turned into kind of not a nice person. Sasquatch Meeple 37, hey, thanks for the follow. And I try not to worry about that stuff, but she has consistently not been nice. We're talking about J.K. Rowling, and so I wasn't as excited. I still love the game. I still love the movies. I still love the book. I just don't know that I will buy much more. They have a whole new series coming. We were talking about that last night, which I'm kind of excited. I'm sort of excited, but I'm also like, what? Why aren't you hiring a British guy? But they have announced, I guess, that they've got John Lithgow is going to play Dumbledore, which is awesome. I probably will watch it, even though I probably shouldn't. Not that I shouldn't. I just, you know, kind of vote with your dollars. And she's just not nice lately, and it's such a bummer. She seemed like such an inclusive person, and her characters are pretty awesome, but I don't know. I do not want to hypothesize. I have no idea what her feelings truly are other than that, and she just won't let it go. There's another guy I loved, same kind of thing. And, and maybe they're right, I don't know. I don't think so. I know, they're kind of against trans people. And I know some trans people, and I think they're very, very wonderful, so I don't know. And, they seem like they found themselves, which, how can you be against that? I don't know. It's rough. I've actually known trans people for over 30 years. One of my coworkers had her husband transition, and she seemed like she found herself too. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't understand it, but it's not my place to understand it. This is what they need. This is what they are. I see myself as who I am, right? I don't have any kind of dysmorphia. I really heard a great interview with Mark Maron on his WTF podcast with, gosh darn it, what's her name? Gosh darn it, I know her name. I actually like the band, but I can't remember her name, and I do not want to say the other name. And that was an interesting story. And she's kind of a rough rock and roller, punk rock. And she found herself struggling, and I do not envy that. I feel that it's a challenging thing, and if they need to go do that direction, why should we? I mean, it's not great. I don't understand why I understand why people are nervous about sort of younger people maybe making this kind of a decision too soon. I don't know. I don't want to, why would you want to hold anybody back if that's what they need? I don't know. But, so I, in solidarity with my trans friends, I try not to be involved in that stuff just because it's just not great. I can't remember. I don't want to say her name because I can't remember the full name. Was it Anti-Flag was the band, maybe? That doesn't seem right. It might be though. So yeah, I'm painting this over the rattle can primed, and it looks smooth. Sometimes the surface of that is a little spongy and it absorbs the paint and makes it very strangely flat. Now, that might be that there was just a lot of white on it, and maybe the temperature, Scott sprayed a lot of minis at once. Today was the most I think I primed for Marvel United, and I only did like 11. That's not true. I've probably done more than that. But what I really want to do is get all of the ones that I want to finish. I'm trying to finish a bunch by April, middle of April or so. And so we will be gone though for a while. We're going to the Gathering of Friends and some Dallas stuff that we need to do. So it's kind of a bummer. We'll be gone for about 2 weeks. It's been a little bit less travel this year, which has been helpful for me. I have been number one, my ankle, I'm still dealing with that. It's hurting today, which I don't understand. But I need to speak to my podiatrist about it because I go see my doctor on Monday, regular doctor, and I will talk to him about it because I haven't talked to him about it at all. But see how that goes. But man, the heel is really challenge. I mean, I've never broken anything. I think I broke a toe, but it didn't really hurt, or maybe it was black and blue. I don't know. It was weird, a long time ago. But this is, I've never broken any limbs, and it's been weird, man. So I think that is all I'm going to paint with this larger. This isn't even a large brush. I would usually apply this with a heavier brush, but the problem is there's a lot of detail here that I do not want to go over it. What's your #1 favorite game of all time? Well, it's a challenge. I do not like making lists because I really don't like deciding this, but one of my all-time favorite games is Wyatt Earp. Haven't played it in a long time now, at least a few years. It's an Alea game that is now published by Eagle Griffin, designed by Mike Fitzgerald and Richard Borg, I think is right. We know Mike, and I met Richard. I really like Mike's games. It's loosely a mystery rummy game, although mystery rummy games Mike does himself. But I think he did we have it, mystery rummy. It's not Legacy. Something he was working on sort of a Legacy thing and realized it just didn't work. So they came out with something else, detective something or other. We have it. We were talking about doing it, but we still haven't. It's just a bummer. But Dave was not really interested in doing it. So at least at this time, because it was probably what we were doing that day and the amount of time we had. But it's a great game. It's really great with 3. We used to play it every week. So in the group that I met Dave, we used to go on Wednesday nights, was a game night meetup at a person's house, friend's house, that actually found me on BGG. He uses the Find a Gamer all the time. He's actively working on his group. We have not gone to Wednesdays for a very long time. We just don't have the Wednesday to do it. Once I started, my job, I used to do it anyway when I was, a good years younger, because it was 20 years ago. 20 years ago. I would stay up till 1 or 2 and get up at 6 in the morning. Oh gosh, earlier than 6 to go to my job. So I basically got like 4 hours, and I'd come home and nap that afternoon or whatever. But it was hard, and so I didn't do it as much. Number one, I didn't stay as late, but additionally, when Nikki and I got married, we were busy, which is relatively new to that group. But they used to do a thing called, I'm going tangent there. They used to do a thing was Game of the Month. You'd play a game from whatever era that they felt was, I don't know if Jonathan decided it, but that they wanted everybody to try to table it every day of the month, and every Wednesday, which was cool because you're looking. It was a great idea, like you're looking at the game, seeing what you think about it, and I don't know. It was wonderful. So what we had decided, we really loved Wyatt Earp, and we're like, well, let's do a game of the year, which was crazy and insane. And so we played it every week except when we were away, but our friend Aaron was making sure it got played when we were away. But nobody would play with us except for maybe Aaron, because we kind of got to be just kind of sharky about it. But we're not like the greatest players. But we ended up really, really playing it a bunch and really enjoyed it even more. And then another great game, let's see, I have tons of great games I love, but gosh, Wyatt Earp's great though. I will name a couple more if I can think of them. Well, I love Catan, still do. We played it on the show 2 years ago? Oh no, almost 3 years ago. Wow. That was one of the, let me think about that. It would be it'll be 2 years ago. 20, yeah. Yeah, it'll be 2 years ago soon. No, that can't be. we're on our 3rd year of this contract. It was when we first started, maybe it was 2022 that we started doing sponsorship from GameGenic. I mean, it has been great, and they have really great stuff. Hopefully they will stick with us, because our show's hard to sponsor. Most publishers aren't going to want to promote other publishers' games, and I understand that. We never thought we'd have sponsorship, and we were very excited that something worked out, and it was exactly like the type of thing that we would use. What was it, Ultra Pro? Is that what it is? No. I can never remember the name of the other company that he worked for. Anyway, I used stuff from the, I saw their booth in 2019. I remember, like, wow, it looked like an Apple store. It was all very white floors. It was amazing looking. They've had amazing, this last year's booth was unbelievable in Germany. Ooh, I just got it on the lens. Boo, boo, boo. But we love Catan. It was fun to do it on the show finally, and it had a really fun reason why, because they have amazing Catan accessories. GameGenic does, and they're just great. You know what? That's going to be too wet. Do not put that on the brush. So I still love Catan. I still love Ticket to Ride. I mean, those are some real basic ones, but they're truly great games. I really love Friedman's games, and I almost always have like a new favorite of his. We loved Fiam, and I loved, I think Nikki did too, Fiam and, what is that one called? It's called Finishing Time, but it's, no. Gosh, Feierabend, I don't know, no, that doesn't, I don't know what it is. Boy, my brain is off because I know what it is. Anyway, love that. Now his new one, he has 2 new games this last year that came out, big ones. I love Fishing, that's a great game. But the 2 big box games, he had a new version of Power Grid called Outpost. He had been inspired by I think the auction system in Outpost. I've never played Outpost originally for Power Grid, and so he was doing one that was called that as a tribute to it, but it really isn't. It had been inaccurately credited as a re-implementation, and it is not. But it was great. Power Grid Outpost is great, and I think it's only recently maybe gotten into the stores, because it was shipped at Essen. I think it took a little bit of time, but it was available in that first print run. And then the other one that he did this year is called, it's a redo. It's the same game except a few little tweaks of the rules, and the biggest change is they changed the way the board looks, because that was the biggest complaint. Free Ride. It's basically kind of, it's not Ticket to Ride, but it has a feel of sort of Ticket to Ride, and it's great. It'll be an episode soon. Probably not next week, but maybe a few weeks from now. We only have so many Dave episodes, so I don't want to burn through them all. Dave and Deborah, because Deborah will be away till at least June or July, and maybe not even free once she gets home right away. I don't like to push anybody, because it's like, I know how it is when you get busy and you're finally home and you got things you want to do, and she's going to want to spend time with her son and her husband. But I love Free Ride. It's a very cool game. The tickets are different, so you're basically, it's a pickup and delivery kind of a thing, but so you're moving passengers in this game. So you do get from city to city, but it's not the same. You need to be in the city that you are, the starting city of the choices that you have, and you need to then deliver it to the other. So you can do it whenever you want, but you can't, initially you can only have one passenger. So it's just one ticket. I don't know if I think it is really a passenger, but it is so good, so good. Friedman's awesome. We're not going to be seeing him in April, which is a bummer. But You can't. Wow, so it is doing a little bit of the. I don't even. This stuff is like shiny. It is having a little bit of the fuzzy, soft, like a kind of like a flocked look on the bottom of his legs. So that might have been like a little bit drier pigment getting to that point. Oof, I did not do the mandibles or whatever the heck's going on here. Cool. So I'm going to need to touch up some of the white there. I'm kind of disappointed I was sloppy. But the deal is it's harder. I was actually able to paint these relatively simply. This one, it is a little more choked than I expected. I will touch it up with some of the gray. The tongue is very shiny. This takes a little bit longer. It's dry. But that's pretty great. It looks good all shiny like that. So I probably will go back because it seems like it dulled down some of the highlights I painted on, so I'll put them on again and then put a little bit more gloss coat on it. But that looks awesome. I'm absolutely surprised I didn't use all the black. I still have a bit more to do here on his face, so let's get that, and I need to probably paint the other one before, well, I don't know what I'm going to do. We have to eat dinner. I definitely need to talk to my mom pretty soon. I try to call her every night. I fell asleep one of the nights last week because I guess it was Friday. I had a early 7 o'clock meeting with some folks in Europe. And so I was falling asleep early. We had dinner and I think I crashed. Usually I'm kind of a late night person, but I don't love it anymore like I used to, which I find pretty funny. Nighttime has always been like my get stuff done time. So it is weird, like shifting to not doing that so much. And we were done. Once we filmed last night, we went to bed. We had stuff we needed to do today, so I have stuff I have to do tomorrow morning as well, so I won't be up late. As I said, I'm going to the doctor, so I'm going to go have a blood panel done. Excitement. Let's see where I'm at time-wise. Phone is right here, 7:41. I got 20 minutes. Maybe I can at least use up all the black that I have here for this final mini, and I can always do the touch-up later for this stuff. There is little bits of stuff that I'm seeing that our white is coming through. So yeah, those are three of my favorite games. I mean, I love a lot of games. Well, I said 4 there, 5, but like I said, usually one of Friedman's new ones is like my favorite game for a while. I mean, they're still great. I just don't get to play them as much as I used to. This is too small of a brush to be using for this. But yeah, he's a great designer that doesn't quite get the credit he used to get anymore. I mean, Power Grid is amazing. It's still popular. I mean, Rio Grande has consistently produced it and kept it in stock for more than 20 years. I believe the new one came out in 2024, and I'm pretty sure Jay from Rio Grande Games picked it up like pretty much right away. Once again, do not leave shiny things in the shot. Come on, focus. Yeah, see, isn't that weird? Anyway. So yeah, this is a little more spattered, the coverage, and that is a bummer. Let me sit up a little bit here. The music stopped. Interesting. Let's see if I can find out what's going on there. Huh. Did it get to the end of that list? That's very strange. Very strange. I might have started it low on the order there. It did go to the bottom. So I've never gotten that far below. Let's go back up. Maybe I got to the end of the list. Who knows? The scroll, I have no indication of what's going on. So we'll go right here. That's funny. There we go. Doesn't need music, but it helps when I'm silent. I'm not often that silent. Somebody says Lincoln talks too much. I think we were playing a cooperative game where I was talking too much during it for their good. Part of the issue is we're going to talk. It's hard. We played a cooperative game yesterday, and we were talking, and you're not supposed to talk while somebody's making a decision, and it's like, it's a cooperative game, but we're always chatty. And it's dull when you're watching a video, and there's no, well, at least for me, in my opinion, it's not going to be fun to watch. So, and we definitely talk things out a little bit. I cannot remember what game it was. I feel it was one of our two-player games where I just was blabbing too much for somebody. Although we do talk about it. Like, yeah, we're supposed to be quiet here, but we generally try to teach the game. Sorry for all the questions. Hope it's okay. No problem. Do you have a good beginner engine building game? Always want to try, but not sure where to start. Don't want something too crazy and not too boring either. Well, I'll tell you, Amos, my favorite engine builder right now that's pretty darn inexpensive. I think it's around $20. That is very, it's kind of an abstract thing. We just did it 2 or 3 weeks ago, probably 3 weeks ago maybe, called Avant-Garde. It doesn't have, it is a theme. You are art dealers trying to buy art, win awards, I guess, because there are awards in the game. But anyway, maybe you're artists and the patrons, that's what those cards are. The patrons are the people in the different cities. I think we all posed as if we were dealers, not artists, so I'm not sure. It tells you in the game. But it's a really neat package. It's a little, there's a few things that are opaque on what the cards do, but it's really, I really like it, and I think I really like it. I don't know that it's the best starting one, but I sure like it, and it's inexpensive. So yeah, you can learn from our video. We actually do, I believe, teach it correctly, and for the most part, play it correctly. And it's available on Amazon. It's from Venom, which is a publisher that's done a few cool games. A few years ago, they did Phantom. Gosh darn it, what's that called? We have it. Is it the Phantom Letter? Gosh darn it, not remembering. Great game. We've talked about doing it on the show, but it's a challenge because you have 2 ghosts. Well, maybe 1 ghost, but I mean, depending on the number of players. But you have somebody that's guiding you, and then the players are figuring out what is going and what the clues are, what the answers are, and both teams are solving the same ones. So when the other team's working, you can hear and see what they're doing, and it just, I feel it's going to be confusing, but it's great. Phantom, I feel like it's a letter, but that doesn't seem right, but it might be. Mary Flanagan and Max, I want to say Rebo, that is not correct. Seidman, and really cool games. I think they're neat. The one that Monarch was their first one that I recall anyway, and I remember Mary at, I think it was Gen Con, but it could have been Spiel. Demoing, and I think we invited her over. I think Eric found her game and thought it was interesting and brought her over to be on our stream when we used to do those things, and it was great. Great game. It is a great. I think it's a fun game. You have to be patient, and you'll figure it out. But once you get it, it's not hard, and it's a cool, sort of basic engine builder. The one I will tell you, the biggest challenge is the 4. Watch us talk about it. You see me even forget how it works and ask Dave about it while we're teaching it, because we knew the game. We were the ones that had first played it with Henning from Tu Spiele. He, as a matter of fact, that copy of the game, it was Friedman's copy. Henning, we were like, what? When we first played it. And then I was like, I like this. I think we should do this on the show. And Henning's like, here, keep it. I think it's great. And the 4 is the hard one, though. It is the most confusing. And if you watch our video and you look at the teach of that, we go over it pretty carefully how it works. And so I believe we got it right. Because when we were teaching it to Scott, he's like, it can't work like that. I'm like, what do you mean? And he was explaining it, and he's 100% right. It's like, oh yeah, you're 100% correct. You can either do one or the other. So what that one does is it lets you change, the 4 lets you change its color or its number. And you can only do numbers 1 through 7. And so it was hard to I kept wanting to do that during the game. Well, why don't we make that a 14 or 13 or whatever? You can't do that. I'm like, oh, dang it. But we've played it a bunch of times. We played it many more times since then, and really loved it. I really love it. And I love the package. It's a cool little box with some fun little elements. They're artists. The people, they're creative people, and so they're doing something that's probably not the best storage option for real, but it's a really awesome storage option for a fun-looking game. And I like the art. I like that kind of modern abstract. But yeah, it's cool. There's other great ones. Obviously Dominion's amazing if you want to really deep dive it. There's a bunch. If you like it, you can buy many expansions. There's always we're done, we can't think of any more expansions, and then something comes again. So it's amazing. The designer has done some great games. One of the other games we really like of his is Kingdom Builder. We finally played it. So the funny thing is we actually filmed Kingdom Builder at the beginning of the show. So Nikki used to work for Queen Games, actually before we started doing GameNight. After we started GameNight, she started working for Queen, and she wasn't working for him when we did that game, but we ended up doing so many games because we kept seeing all these cool games they were doing, and we kept putting Kingdom Builder on the back burner, and it ended up just becoming so old. And I think something got screwed up anyway, some of the footage got lost, so we never put it out. But we did do the Winter Kingdom, I think is the name of it, version of it, with Annie, who works for Queen as well. She taught it to us remotely during the pandemic, so it was the 3 of us playing. It was fun. But yeah, the reason why we kept pushing it back was, we do a game, and we don't want to just do all these games by one publisher. We're trying to promote the hobby and the industry. And I'm sorry, I might not have been on camera there. But I really like Kingdom Builder. It's a great game. We've done many games of theirs. Almost every season we have at least one game. We did Dabawala last year, I think. I think that was last year. It was definitely in April or something like that, with Deborah and Rusty. And I like that game a lot too. It had a similarity to something else we had played recently that it wasn't really... what is the game that... Oh, maybe that was this year. But it might have been last season, yes. I think it was earlier this year, it was. But it was last season, so it's 12. But we had also done another game called... Heck, maybe that same time frame, because I think Rusty and Deborah are in that one together as well, called Faraway. Faraway has this weird mechanism where you're building to then go backwards. So you're building your, it's not your engine, but your points, hoping to score them later. And I felt it had a bit of that, Dabawala, because you're filling up your cart with the food, and then you you go backwards, and you don't necessarily get all the way through things. That's part of the reason. I can't remember exactly how that all works, but it was awesome. But yeah, it's a bummer that we're getting some negative comments about that game. I mean, Nikki it wasn't working for her, and so she said she wasn't sure about it, and everybody clued in. Now, here's the deal: maybe they just don't like it, but I'm surprised at how many people are negative. Queen is challenging. They have sometimes issues delivering games quickly, and because they kickstart. I mean, I think they kickstarted like maybe or added it as a pre-order the Midnight Market, which we did today. I mean, we didn't even talk to Rajiv. I didn't get the game from him this year. And usually publishers will send us. We don't love to take games because we can't promise anything, but they'll usually send us a bunch, and a lot of publishers understand. They're throwing them at us. Maybe we'll like some of them. We feature them on our streams as well. And we try not to cover that many, but sometimes they send us so many great games. I mean, for example, we got a bunch. I'd asked specifically for something from them, and I didn't. They were nice enough not to ship it, make us take it with us home. And I understand why publishers do that, because it's not cheap to ship. But they're kind enough to ship it to us, and they shipped us a few other things. And we played almost all of them. One of the games we got, I believe, was Castle Combo, which I think is fantastic. Castle Combo or Castle Combos, I can't remember. Really great game, really great. We played that with Rusty and, is that right? Was it Rusty and Amanda? Oh no, maybe it was just the three of us. It might have been Nikki, me, and Amanda. Rusty loves that game. Actually, matter of fact, I think we played it on the stream with Rusty and Amanda and Candace. And then we also played just recently, last week, Pixies, which nobody watched. Well, not nobody, but very few people. It wasn't anything I guess people are interested in, which is unfortunate because it's a good game. We played others. We played Far Away, which that was, I think, Rusty's copy. I think in that case, they didn't send us that one. We brought one home from the BG library, but we played with Rusty's copy because it was already sleeved. Rusty loves the GameGenic sleeves, and it was already in the matte sleeves, so we just used that because it's easier. It is, sleeving games is not always easy, especially when you're trying to do a bunch of them. We usually, if we have the games with us, we will do them in advance, because that is part of the agreement we have with them to sleeve them, and it's cool. We love their matte sleeves. And, I mean, it's wonderful. It's great to have sponsors. Hard to do. We actually have some new products that are coming, GameGenic, that I'm very excited about. And I'm sorry, I keep drifting off. I want to do Marvel United with it, that accessory. It's fantastic. When we saw it, I was like, wow. And I'd made some suggestions, and it was already done. It's really already done. He's like, well, shoot, maybe next time, I believe he was legitimately saying they had some good ideas. Very cool. It's another storage thing. I'm happy they have dice trays now. I love the dice tower, but it's particularly, the crystal twister, but it's more fun when you have a bunch of dice going down it. But they're little flat dice trays that are, magnetically connected so that you can fold them, lay it flat and fold it up. They're fantastic. They're designed to actually leave them in the box if you want to. They're designed in a square and a rectangular shape and a hexagonal shape. I don't know about the hexagonal shape fitting in a box, but the other two would easily fit. Pretty cool. Well, I don't know if I'm going to get all of it done. Where am I at? 2 more minutes. I'll go another 10 minutes after. Maybe I can get this done before I call it a night. Very cool. I'm surprised I didn't do this one because I was actually trying at the beginning to group paint jobs that were similar. You know, like, okay, these are all black or these are all white. And I did that for these. I think I did Venom. The other Venom, I think this is the hero Venom, and there's a villain Venom. And I don't know if Carnage was included in that, but there were others. There was some Spider-Man. Gosh dang, that was a while ago because part of them was the Spider-Man Spider-Geddon, which is finally got released in like December of last year. I don't remember anymore. It was late. I think it was, they were nice enough to let me buy a copy before the floor opened on one of the days. And because they initially weren't going to let me do that. And somebody's like, they knew who we were, and they're like, he's GameNight, he'll use it. And I did. I started painting it right away. I really love those minis. So yeah, I think they were part of the. So they've done a couple things. They have a new set coming out for DC, Heroes United. That is, they're gonna have a separate base game that comes out soon, maybe June or July. Well before, that's my mom thing. Let me sneeze that. Well before the stuff is going to ship. They did the same thing with the second wave, or maybe that was a meta. Not a meta, I keep saying that, multiverse. So the Spider-Man might have been, as a matter of fact, it seems like a multiverse one because it's, you know, it's the Spider-Man Noir and Penny Parker and so yeah, that was probably the multiverse one that they put out. And you know, people got upset because the first one, they released it, and the downer was for that one is they were charging you extra shipping to get it. They didn't tell you this during the campaign. They changed the way they did that stuff after that. But you know, they were charging you extra to get it early, and I made the mistake of not trying it right then. We know Eric, and there was just like word that the word was don't expect too much from it. Well, we loved it, and then the stuff started showing up. I think I had already painted. This was, I think, in early 2022, or maybe 2021. I don't remember. Oh, no, I think it was 2021. Because we brought it to a hotel up at Universal Studios where a friend of ours was at a teacher's conference, and we played the game, and I was so excited to play the game with the painted minis, and then I think we did it on the show not too long later. So that would have been 2021, because it was with Aaron and Dave, I believe. Cool. Now I feel I've heard this music. It's interesting. This is from a company called Epidemic out of Sweden. And they do all kinds of different music. Now I'm trying to pick things that are mellow for while I'm painting. I'm not, Adam does punk rock stuff, which is cool. But I don't know what his source for music is. But I did not put a lot of thought into selections. I just was listening for things that sounded interesting to me that wouldn't drive me crazy. And but I've now have some of those songs in my head, and it's cool. Their service is not cheap. We use it for all of our content that we add music to. So the Brothers Merce stuff, you know, they were already using it, so it was good synergy for us that they just would add the music and we would automatically have it licensed. So it's cool. As I mentioned, I love co-op games. Saw you play Black Orchestra years ago. Loved it. I remember the discussion about the rules mistakes. Is there a new version? Is the new version better? I know the rules are fixed. So yeah, the new versions are, I don't know what's going on exactly with that. There is a crowdfunding campaign going to happen. So firstly, there's a standalone game. I think that one's called Valkyrie. Same designer. Looks great. I don't have it right now. the Brothers Murph actually did the videos for that. Hey, there's a little bit of pink I missed there. But we love it. I know the newer version has...
I'm not quite sure how to
What is going on? They got it mostly... Wow, that is really loud. I must have touched it by accident. But I definitely... I think it's a great game. I mean, you know, the theme is rough. World War II stuff. But it's cool. And... it's worth getting. Philip DeBerry is a neat, interesting designer. Nice guy. And I'm very excited. We just had to send those off to Mike and Nick, and I'm eager to get them back and check them out. But I love that game. I think it's neat. Gosh, that's probably been about 5 or 6 years since we did that on the show. Seems like maybe 2017 or 18. I remember Michael Fox, he's a designer and worked for that company. He's from the UK, and he was telling me about the game and gave me the promo and stuff, and like, wow. And I kind of remember, I hope we didn't use the promo. It might be part of the game on some of these campaigns, and so there is a new campaign coming that will probably have the base game and some other stuff. I don't really know. And then there's the new expansion. I think it's something, it's like maybe Black Orchestra Resistance, which is one of the videos we put out. So that's coming soon. And you know, the copies that we get are pre-production, so they're not really 100% representative what the game might be finally. But I'm very excited about it. What were you saying you weren't successful, Circe? She didn't say she didn't like it. She doesn't get it. I'm sorry, Circe, this is a while ago. And it was, the downer is like people get obsessed with that, which is a downer, because the game is good. It's just got a different feel. Nikki's like, I honestly, I can't remember exactly how it went, but she's like, it's okay, I think is what she said. She just doesn't know what she's doing, and I kind of explained to her like what I was thinking when I played that game, not during the video, although I did say some of it, but I was, because Dave was talking about how I played the game. It's a cool game though. I mean, it's sort of not anything 100% new, but I think there is some cool things in there. It's a different kind of auction, and you have to just determine. You're going to see three sets of jewels that you're going to have to add to the necklaces you're making, and some of them will destroy your necklace. You get too many jewels, you have to wipe that necklace out. And so it was kind of strange. Everybody's like, "This is terrible. This looks horrible." I'm like, "Wow, we are not doing a good job selling it," because it really, I think it looks nice. It's not the greatest. The cover's lovely. I mean, Rashid's games generally look nice. It's just not. It's an inexpensive family game. It's not a very large box. I don't know what, maybe people are expecting something else. I don't know. But he gets a lot of flack because he tends to keep doing big boxes, you know. And the thing is he works differently now. He's not as in many stores. So to do things like the mega boxes, wow, I touched his head. What a boob. Where did I touch it? He kind of has to run basically a pre-order, you know, and it's often will change things, and sometimes it adds something and people get upset. And I'm like, you can't hold out forever to just get everything that you want. I mean, that's the same thing that Everdell's having right now, where people are upset because they're doing other Everdell things. But I'm like, yeah, but this is all different Everdell. It's not the Everdell game. And I don't know. I don't worry about it. I will buy the game if I'm excited, and then I will get it again, and I will pay for it to, and sell the other one or give it away. It's not worth worrying about it. But I get it. So it's a challenge. But I don't blame Rajiv for doing that. I mean, you can't, they're expensive to make. And, like, for example, they had a new game called Marrakesh, designed by Stefan Feld. And they've made several versions of it since then to reduce the cost. Because the main game is very big, lots of components, and it's expensive. So they made like a smaller one, then they've made even a more condensed one, and you're going to sacrifice some of the bling of the game if you go for that. But you're paying the price. You're not going to do the big one. You've decided I'm going to go for the smaller one. And I think they offered a kind of smaller version when it was originally done, but then they came up with a way to make it work for even smaller. And I think there's it might have already been crowdfunded. There was a new expansion that was done by Stefan and Ulrich von Robert. Ulrich he's one of the developers at Queen, and which is exciting. I'm happy for him that he's doing a design. Wow, I gotta call her soon. I'll do one more snooze. But yeah, it's hard. Being a publisher is hard, and they are independent. That is a family-owned company, and it has been run by Rajiv for more than 30 years, I think. I can't remember. Dang it, I just covered that tooth. So I'm going to touch those all up. And I need to trim them. There's like a little, like a hangnail on his tooth. Okay, well, that's pretty much all I need to do on that. It's weird because he's got black gums. I think, let's look at Carnage real quick before I wrap it up. But yeah, I understand people. We had a friend that wrote directly and was upset that they wouldn't sell the big box for the game. And I wrote the guy and I said, you're talking to Nikki. and it was a bummer because it was like, look, they're not doing it to spite you. It's expensive to ship a giant empty box. And is it going to wreck you to have? I don't know. I understand. People are, want to have the whole full thing. They want it to be as simple, as organized and great as possible, and it's just a challenge. I think I see Carnage right here. So yeah, here's I guess this is the villain Venom. He's got a red tongue. Maybe I'll need to add a little red. I don't know. It looks cool. And then here's the Carnage. They look great. So here we go. There's the evolution of the 3 that I have. This one's almost done. I like the pink. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I like them. I did some little lines on this one and stuff. It's cool. They're awesome. Well, there you go. I wasn't successful with the stripped screw. Ah, bummer. Bummer, bummer, bummer. I do not know what it's hard. I'm not even sure, maybe I need to see a picture of it. But yeah, it's tough. I think I've almost always gotten them out, but good gracious, they're not easy to do. And in electronics, I've done it like, the worst is I broke the screw. So inside, the screw snapped inside the wood. So I had to basically do a new hole right next to it. It was really unfortunate. Anyway. Well, cool. Let me switch cameras. Get back up here. That is not the one to do. Wow, this is not. Okay, there we go. Cool. Well, there you go. Thanks for joining me. We'll be back on Tuesday. So I have another painting day, which I'm excited about. I need to try to get ahead on this stuff. I don't know what I'm going to paint. I'll probably finish these Venoms tomorrow, not tonight. And then I'll do something else. I have a few others. So there's 3 more lined up here. I can show you since I'm not going to switch down cam. I have these 3 they're hard to see because they're blown out. Ghost Rider, which will be cool. I think that's Ghost Rider. And then I have 2 more Yondu to do. These are the end of the Series 1 for me, these final 2 minis. So I'm very excited. I won't be done with them, but I will be closer to being done. And I won't be painting any of mine. So I can actually focus. I can spend a little bit more time being, you know, delivering better results. I like to try to make them as best I can for others when I'm doing that. And I like to give the better ones to them. Because I can always touch them up and change them. They can't. Or they could, but they're not going to do that. Anyway, let's see who we can raid. It is this studio storage from your main game room? So this is actually connected. So there is, to my right, games, and above me there are a crap ton of mini games. It's almost entirely Games Workshop. I think it's all entirely Games Workshop. I'm not buying any. Well, I say that now, but I kind of want to buy. They do have 3 new boxes that have 4 warbands in them for like they're $85 on Amazon. I don't know if that's what the regular list price is. I imagine it's close to that because they can't really discount them much. Maybe they're $100. 15% maybe seems like the right maximum discount. I don't know. But they're cool. 4 factions with the cards, which I misunderstood. We met with them at Spiel, and I don't know exactly how they're going, but we also have a bunch of games to the right of me, and then we have all the play space, and we have one more rack that's directly behind me that is sort of the new games that we try to keep separated out from our regular collection. Because a lot of those are things that are borrowed from the BGG library that need to go back in May. We'll need to ship them. We're trying to get them done and move them off, and we're going to end up having to make some decisions. We've actually shipped the same game twice to us and still haven't done that game. As a matter of fact, it might have been designed by those people that did Resonant, which is a bummer. Anyway, so yeah, we have this room, so it's one big room, and then segmented with shelving and this, we have like a divider that is where you see us do the intros, and it's behind me on my side of the table. And then we have a control room that connects, no window between the control room and this space, but it is all fully connected, and that's where I run. I'm actually connected to that through remote desktop. Let's see here, who we can raid. So yeah, I mean, I see I'm moving. Oh, I must have muted it. No. Wow, I've been running that the whole time. That's not good. Okay, creator dashboard. Who do we got? I think it's probably going to be Bonds, but she might be away. Okay, we click who we are following. I don't know that one. Wow. Somebody's playing Guild of Merchant Explorers. Who is that? So that's available on Board Game Arena now. It's great game, and you can't make mistakes when you play it on Board Game Arena. That one's a little easy to knock pieces around and stuff. We're gonna raid Bonds because she's playing Hamlet, the village building game, which we really enjoyed. Looks like she's playing it in real life. She might be getting near the end. Because she basically starts the same time we do. Anyway, say hi for me, the people on Twitch that are going to follow over if you do that. I will see you all later. We got 9 people. Oh, hey, everybody's jumping in. Thanks so much. Say hello to Bonds for me. And we're going. Bye, everybody. And oops, I missed it. Did it go? So that went, and then you YouTube folks, thank you for joining me. Thanks for all the chatter. It was awesome. And I will see you the next time. Bye, everybody.